Hello and welcome to Tekoa ERP demonstrations. In this demonstration we're going to go over the general ledger chart of accounts, how to set it up, and how to use it. Let's start by taking a look at the Tekoa ERP dashboard. From the dashboard you're going to go to the general ledger module and select segments. Segments of your general ledger represent the portions of the account code that are between the dashes. These segments are fundamental to how the financials will be tracked on your financial statements. In this particular example, you can see here that I have 5 different segments set up in my chart of accounts. I have a main segment, which is the first set of characters. I have a location because my business has multiple locations, and so I want to track GL accounts by location. I also have a segment for product that defines the divisions for specific product lines that I have in my inventory. And then I have a people segment of my chart of accounts, which indicates the different types of customers or vendors that I have in my CRM setup. And then last I have a department segment on my chart of accounts, which indicates an internal department for a specific location, such as sales or operations, these kinds of things. So let's start by taking a look at one of these specifics, like the main segment. We're going to go in here, we just click on the main title there, and you can see that I have set up here that the title of this segment of the GL chart of accounts account is the main segment. I've given it a code called main, and I've said that its status is active. It has a total of 4 characters. And it's first in the sequence of my general ledger chart of accounts account numbers. And I've also indicated here in this checkbox that this is the main segment. When I go to the detail tab, I now see all of the codes that make up that portion of the account in my chart of accounts. So for example here, my 1000 main account code is for my petty cash account. I have a 1010 account for my cash on hand, and you can see that this goes on and on down into my full chart of accounts. Here's my accounts payable account, which is a 2000 main account code. I have a sales tax payable at 2310. I have state payroll taxes payable at 2360, and so this should be pretty familiar with to you if you have any experience with general ledger chart of accounts. But what I've basically done here is I've set up a main segment, and then I've defined what are the potential values for that main segment, and I've indicated that that segment is 4 characters long, and that it's first, and that it's main. Let's jump back here to our segment list, and we'll take a look at one of the sub-account segments. Location. By clicking on location segment here, I can go in here and I can see that okay, this segment has a length of 2 characters, and it is second in the sequence. It is not a main segment, and it's going to represent locations. And then I go to the detail here and I can input the values that are available in that segment. In this particular case I have 00 for none, 10 which represents our Liberty Lake location, 20 which represents the Denver location, and 30 which represents the Atlanta location. Let's jump back here to the segment list and give you one more quick example. Under the product segment of my GL chart of accounts here, you can see that I have set it up as a 3-character segment, and that it is third in the sequence in my account code itself. And then I have set up different values for that segment. 000 representing there is no value. 410 represents Delta kites. In this particular business we're selling kites. And 420 represents diamond kites. 430 represents special kites. And 490 represents kite accessories. These are the possible values for that segment of the GL chart of account. So you can see here that I have 5 segments total. And once I have all of the values, once this set up in these segments, and then I have the details or the potential values that can be in each of these segments, then I go forward with going ahead and assembling the chart of accounts. And I do that by going to the General Ledger and going to the Accounts menu. From here you can see that I have already set up a pretty extensive list of chart of accounts. And you can see here, for example, my petty cash account has the 5 segments in it. The first representing the main account, second the location, the third the product, the fourth is type of people or customer, vendor, and then fifth is the department. So let's take a look at this example here. You can see that it has petty cash as the title of the account. The account has automatically been configured based on this way that I have set up the segments. I have indicated that it is a current asset, that it has a cash flow type of cash, its status is active, and here are the different segment values that I could potentially have for this particular account. Let's look at one that's a little bit more complicated. If I scroll down to my revenue accounts, you can see here that I have a pretty extensive setup for my revenue, and I want to be able to track those things very efficiently and effectively on my financial statements. So let's take this one here, for example, because you'll notice that I have a revenue account, which is my parent. Because it is all zeros, and because it is at the top of this particular list, you can see that it is a parent account. And then I have these sub-accounts which have values in different segments based on how I want to map that on my financial statement. In this particular example here, you can see that it's a revenue account, right? Main account is revenue. It's for location 10, which is Liberty Lake, product line 490, kite accessories, 540, wholesale customers, 00, no department. So let's take a look at how that one looks inside the setup. I select that account number, and you can see here that I have set it up as a revenue type account, that it is a cash flow type of cash, which is not correct. and then this is where I assign the different segment values for this particular account. Now, just for fun, let's go ahead and let's create a new account. Let's say that I want to create a revenue account for an Atlanta location for a different product line and a different people group for a specific department. Setting it up is pretty easy. Let's go back here to the General Ledger account list and click on Add a New Account. From here, you'll see that it has represented all 5 of the segments and named those segments based on how I have set up my segments. And I select from each of these drop downs the value that I want to represent inside that segment. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say I want to look for my revenue. So it's going to be a revenue account. I want it to be for my Atlanta location. I want the product segment to be for diamond kites. The people segment is going to be all of my e-commerce sales. The department segment is going to be none, because I don't really want to track my revenue by department, although I could if I had multiple sales departments or something like that. You can see here that it automatically built the title or the name of this particular account for me based on the values that I selected from the segment drop-downs. Now from here I can select what type of account this is. Let's see, let's scroll through the list here. There's revenue. I'm going to select a revenue because this is a revenue account. Cash flow type, I'm going to say that it's none. And the status I'm going to say is active. Now, because this account has other accounts that are above it that I want to roll up into, I come over here to the parent account field, and I'm going to select the revenue account as its parent account. And that basically tells the system that values that are posted in here are relevant to this parent. And when I produce financial statements, I can then say that my parent revenue account is a roll-up or a summary of each of these sub-account departments that are underneath it. And so for each sub-account that I indicate has this particular parent, all of those numbers will be rolled up into this account to give me a grand total. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create Account. And then you can see here that it has created the account for me. And if I go over here to the General Account list, and look at my revenue accounts, there should be one in here for Atlanta Kite Accessories e-commerce right there. So this has just been a general overview of the chart of accounts in Tekoa ERP, how to set it up using segments and segment details, and then putting those pieces together in creating a chart of accounts, account numbers, for tracking your financials in Tekoa ERP. For more information about Tekoa ERP and the General Ledger financial capabilities, contact us through www.tekoaerp.com. Thanks for your time.